You're trying to hold out on me? Arching a brow, you mockingly put your hands on your hips. Baxter gaped at you.
I see.
I see how it is. Yeah, I'll tell Miranda and let her know I'll be back soon. Baxter caught his fingers through his hair. The corner of his mouth crooked. At this point, it is out of my hands. You know what I'm up to, and it's a public activity. Who am I to say you're not allowed to welcome? Who am I to say you're not also welcome to visit the neighborhood ice cream truck? Nodding along, you accepted the situation for what it was. Awkward and obstinate. So unexpectedly, two of you looped through the city. So unexpectedly, the two of you looped through the nearby streets, keeping yourselves on alert for any sign of the ice cream truck. Luckily, it didn't take long to locate. The melodious sound of the well-known tune drew you both in, and then it came round the curb. And decked out in faded posters, rolling along under the setting sun, it looked like it drove straight out of your memory. If it was the same truck from 5 years ago, that wouldn't surprise you in the slightest.
Huh.
We found it! He caught a brief sparkle in his eye, and a hint of thrill in his voice that instantly caught you off guard. He pushed ahead to flag down the ice cream truck. After a minute, the side window snapped open. Hello, hello! What kind of sweets do you two want today? And Baxter stepped even closer, flashing his dazzling grin. Hello. I appreciate you stopping for us. We appreciate it a lot. Of course! People of all ages love ice cream. It's a little joy that brings us all together. That's very true. Would it be possible to get an ice cream sandwich? Oh, and some napkins too, if possible. Can do. Observing him, you couldn't help but wonder if that was a new favorite of his, or if that's where he would have gone if you didn't go for that ridiculous popsicle. You held your breath. It was odd how lightning fast that thought ricocheted through your brain. There was a period when the memory of that popsicle haunted you. And then, it was gone. Now you could see it as if it happened weeks ago instead of years. You weren't sure how long that thought paralyzed you. How Baxter moved to the side so you could order next. He stared at you curiously. And you? You leaned slightly out of the dark, curiously glanced over the menu. It was even more sun-bleached, but the shades were distinct enough to tell apart even with the washed-out colors. We're going for an ice cream sundae cup. Sounds great! After that, you Baxter paid for your frozen treats. The lady gave you a toothy smile. Thank you so much. Alright, give me 1 minute, is what she said before ducking out of sight. In her absence, neither you nor Baxter uttered a word. The only noise between you was the faint sound of the woman rummaging through her own track. Then, just as promised, he returned about a single minute later. Baxter retrieved his desired ice cream sandwich with a handful of white paper napkins. The woman extended an arm out to you next, passing your ice cream sundae cup. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic evening. I'll be enjoying mine much more with this. You're welcome. The woman laughed at his niceties, then lashed up the window. He waved at the roaring truck. He waved as the truck roared to life before puttering along the street.
Well.
I suppose we should start finding our way back. Yeah. Baxter strolled leisurely along with his free hand in his pocket, and the other carefully finishing his treats. You kept up with him, sampling your own frozen dessert. Baxter waited for you to complete your first taste. The frown raised curiously, seconds before he voiced his next question. Before he voiced his question.
What do you think?
How's yours? It's really good.
Glad to hear it.
I'm glad. Baxter visibly brightened at your genuine answer. He returned to his own thoughts after that. It struck you that as long as Baxter was isolated with his dessert, he wasn't running off. For the first time in a long, long while, the two of you might actually be able to talk. You haven't changed much.
Yes.
I have to agree. I don't feel I've changed in the slightest. I'm a natural resident of California now, and despite living here for nearly a year, I haven't so much as dipped my toes in the ocean. I'm still far too nervous for that. Embarrassingly, I'm not a beach man like Terry. I'm not even the bee man anymore. He calls me Baxter. The former bee man's voice grew quieter. That level of transparency didn't last long. Baxter quickly changed topics, but his sadness lingered in his eyes. My taste in ice cream hasn't evolved, and neither has my ideas for outings.
Truthfully.
I can say that I've improved some towns over the years, and found a less eye-catching sense of style. But, for anything meaningful, there's been no growth. He was right in some ways. Baxter was a diamond that showed different facets in light. It showed different facets in the light. If the gems spun, you might see parts you hadn't before. But it was never something entirely new. And Baxter Ward was still the man you met 5 years ago. His lips twisted bitterly, but he fixed that with a bite of ice cream. He held the sweetness on his tongue before swallowing. Don't mind me and my ramblings. I don't choose rock. Oh, that's an unexpected query. Is it? That's not a normal thing to take such a committed stance on. I've been wondering about it this whole time. You were doing it even back when you were staying in Sunset Bird, weren't you?
You're good.
Perceptive. And truthfully, is my favorite out of the bunch. A nice fist, simple, effective. Baxter's free hand tensed into the aforementioned representation of a rock, just long enough for you to see it. Then his fingers loosened. But rather than why I chose rock out of the three, I imagine you're more intrigued on why I only use one in general. I'm good with hearing that? How nice.
Well,
I've done it about as long as I can remember. It made the game more endurable in my youth. The petty types of decisions that were best suited to be decided with randomness mattered to me. It was far more amusing to see who would use the advantage they had to win, and who would be willing to take the loss. That's why they seem to do it, sir. Baxter glanced towards the sky. At the bare minimum, I'm not that much of a brat any
to
longer.
be honest,
As an adult, I use it mainly to get away with not making decisions all of my own. Whoever's playing with me has the responsibility to win or lose, because what they're up against is preordained. I don't even need to choose which symbol my hand takes. It's easier that way. Oh. Why did you become a wedding planner of all things? It was difficult to comprehend. Why? How the possible careers out there, and the plans he made for his future. Why you ended up in a relation-based profession? Ah. And Baxter held on to your question for several more moments. He closed his eyes consideringly. Let's see. I received a degree in business management. After all, I always assumed working with fellow employees within a company would be preferable to dealing with the wider public. However, in practice, I found that event planning was my best suited. However, in practice, I found that event planning best suited my strength. I'm fortunate that, thanks to my upbringing, I happen to be well acquainted with formality and what it takes to authentically achieve it for an event. It's a unique kind of direct experience to wield. Additionally, I deal with a high level of control and detail work one must take in a stressful event. When it comes to work, I absolutely can make decisions. It's only my personal life where I lack on conviction. And that's most rooted in bursts with different people, rather than a long-term position in a constant group. You can easily get sick of someone who needs everything to be just so. Baxter finally paused to breathe. You could sense his focus trailing across your furrowed brow, and that only made it worsen. His appraising response was a barrier rather than an answer. My job makes me happy. The ups and downs are worth it. Oh. I enjoy seeing people at their most joyful, and knowing that I contributed to making it happen. At least, ideally, they'll be joyful on their wedding day. I've long since realized how straining and unpleasant the whole planning process is. It never seems to matter how much I try to smooth out the process. It all happens in such a frantic hurry. One can scarcely keep up. But when the day comes and I've done my job right, then the entire event will be an unforgettable moment. And once it's done, it's done.
So,
I believe you can see why this position was a fitting match. I got it. So, do you still dance? Besides helping the couples you found for?
no.
Not comparatively. Actually, I haven't even kept it up as a hobby. These days it only comes up with my clientele. His gaze trailed off in the distance. I love dancing, but unfortunately there isn't room for everything. I imagine you dealt with similar situations in your adult life by now. He stared straight ahead at the empty road and thought about it. He was right. Adulthood brought hard changes, and yet it seemed impossible to separate dancing and Baxter in your mind. I guess. Having said that, I can't complain. There was a rather low chance that my love for dance was going to be utilized in my actual profession. And yet, here we are.
Not bad.
Silver linings and all. Why did you have to stop talking to me? Even right now, you're keeping yourself at a distance. I know. Braxton's steps dragged. Apparently, he needed to physically distance himself now that he tried to close the emotional gap. I've asked myself similar questions, believe it or not. Baxter took a deep, steadying breath, then ran his fingers along the edge of his suit bangs.
You need to understand.
Gally, I do want to be entirely clear. You're wonderful. Never doubt that. What happened, I do exactly that for everyone who unfortunately crosses my path. The acquaintances I made at college, dancing partners, the friends I had since childhood, my parents, though, that is an entirely different story. The point of the matter is, I've excluded those I interact with regularly due to work. I have no relations whatsoever. The point of the matter is, excluding those I interact with regularly due to work, I have no relations whatsoever. That's simply the way it goes. He found his words incredibly hard to believe. Nothing was simple about his explanation. Baxter cut things off there. He was not willing to deal with that part of himself. But, surprisingly, he didn't take it out from you, as he had in the other time we tried to get personal. The topic just drifted, and you left it. The topic just drifted, and you let it. It was a truce between you both, in that moment, and for the evening, you've made peace with that. The two of you continued on your path to Jude and Scott's house, surrounded by the end of the day ambience of crickets and distant cars. You stole a glance in his direction. Somehow, Baxter still hadn't finished his child-sized ice cream sandwich. You couldn't help but wonder what was happening inside his head since he had returned. Everything came with a thick layer of felt to charge through. It was only yesterday when Baxter was beginning to be anywhere else. on the planet than by your side for a little while. And now, he was trying to stretch this walk for as long as possible. A part of you instead, despite the intensity of your problems, being near him was beginning to feel more comfortable again. The burning pain had pulled into a distant warmth, like the scorching noon sun easing into a sunset. Was it because of him? Or because of you? Were you both doing something? Would any of this even matter by the day after? Would any of this even matter by the day after tomorrow? Did it even matter right now? Had time run out to say anything else? Did it even matter right now? Did time had run out to say anything else? Baxter popped the last bite of his tray into his mouth and crumbled the wrapper up. He was finished with this. Baxter tidied himself as well as he could with the cheap paper napkins. He didn't use them all and offered the remaining ones to you. You accepted them. Thanks. You stashed the napkins in your pocket. Baxter's amiable smile didn't change.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming to me, Callie. As you can both see, my car is right over there. I won't keep you any longer. Good luck with the centerpieces. I'm sure they'll turn out wonderfully. I hope so. I'll see you around, right? Yes, you will. He got into his vehicle for real, and was gone again. After an exceedingly long break to steam out, he returned to the house. The door was unlocked with a twist of your wrist. The sight earned a grateful sigh. It was a lucky gift of fate that the front door was left open. No one had checked since you were gone. You were able to slip inside and rejoin the others without extra weirdness. Any extra weirdness. Or at least that's what you thought. Miranda, Jude, and Scott stopped what they were doing to stare at your entrance. They must have had the door closed. Awkward.
Hey.
Hey. Jude at least didn't have any interest in asking you probing questions. He punctuated his greeting with an easy smile and resumed the silk flower arrangements. Wow! The missing Callie has magically reappeared. Were you talking to Baxter? He folded his arms across his chest and watched you with an honest curiosity. Unlike his soon-to-be husband, he couldn't let the delay slide without mention. Yeah, we talked for a little while. We'll catch it up. Miranda's shoulders relaxed, hearing that news. After experiencing the impact that summer firsthand, she understood the magnitude of that staff.
Really?
You seriously did know him before. I did and do. Sort of. He's still Baxter Ward. Letting that information sink in. Phil removed his glasses and idly cleaned the lens on the end of his shirt. He stuffed them on and then sheepishly scratched the top of his head. I know this Baxter stuff is old news for you, but I'm finding it hard to imagine. Sorry, that's probably because you're the only one of us who never met him before now. What? Huh? That comment was finally enough to pique Jude's curiosity. Miranda snickered as Jude put down the silk flowers. When did I meet him? Well, you didn't talk to him, but had to have seen him.
No clue.
Now I'm more confused. From my 19th birthday party, he was there. Your 19th birthday? Yes, he wasn't there as a guest. Baxter was one of the main people who put the whole party together. Jude's brow pinched, and he gazed into the distance at nothing in particular, touching the recess of his mind. At last, a spark behind his eyes pulled him back to the present. I remember one strange dude, the edgy kid who kept messing with the chocolate fountain. Why was he there? That's the real question. Your grin stretched ear to ear hearing Jude's recollection of Baxter. How typical of him. Somehow, seeing the strange monochrome man at his sister's party didn't prompt him to ask questions then. It was never too late, though. That was Baxter. And now that random edgy kid is planning your wedding. Ta-da!
What?
What? How's Baxter? With the eyeballs? Jude repeated those words slowly. He needed a moment to process. Yes. And then, he dropped, holding like a chair. You'd never heard him laugh that hard. He was shaking in contrast. Scott kept his composure. The longer Jude continued, the higher Scott's brows raised. What do you mean with the eyeballs? What's wrong with his eyeballs? Beckett siblings were both feeling with laughter at that point. You could only hope Baxter hadn't driven You could only hope Baxter had driven far enough away to not be able to hear it himself. Nothing! There's never been anything wrong with Baxter's eyeballs, I think. Poor Scott. He'd never experienced Baxter's black and white glory in person. That wasn't something any of you could convey with mere words. Phew! Jude pressed his palm into his heart. Jude pressed his palm to his heart and leaned against the couch cushions until his breathing calmed down. God, you had to be there. He looked like a fool. Let's not hold anything against him.
Guess so.
I'll take your word for it. Jude scooted to the edge of his seat and grinned widely at him. He gave Scott's leg a pat.
On it.
Time to get to work. Flowers won't arrange themselves. Scott bobbed his head, still in a daze. The three of them got you up to speed with their crafting circle. The rest of the evening, and well into the night, was spent joking, sharing stories, and creating beautiful masterpieces. At one point, a new message in the group chat caught everyone's attention. Baxter asked for confirmation that tomorrow would be the big day out with the couple. He wasn't sure if it was only in your head, but Baxter's phrasing felt a little more friendly than his prior updates. He even used a thumbs up emoji. That was completely new. He went to bed and hoped this might be a turning point. Things were coming together. The next day, you had the morning, afternoon, and evening to yourselves. Jude and Scott were gone till late. However, they managed to keep everyone in the loop while they were gone. The group chat buzzed with various updates throughout their adventures. There were glimpses of food stores they were checking out, the event room they used to practice in, and 3 pictures of them presumably taking a break. Jude and Scott were thrilled in the photos. Even the occasional Baxter in the background seemed pleased. And based on the updates that weren't for show, the wedding plans were genuinely going well. Meanwhile, you had your feet up, busting and recharging. For the big event, you imagined Terry and Miranda would spend their day off similarly. After all that hard work, the grand payoff was almost here. There was only one meeting left with the planner ahead of tomorrow. Miranda and Terry arrived at the house not long after you finished dinner, and just as things were talked about before, everybody was invited to Jude and Scott's place rather than the office. It wasn't long before the fiancés and their wedding planner strolled in with their spirits high. Almost everyone got settled comfortably in the living room. Jude and Scott tiredly sang to one end of the couch, while Terry sat at another. Miranda folded her leg down the arm of the couch, leaning into Terry. You shook your head teasingly at them, and you passed down and popped on the room's other plush chair. Though Baxter didn't pull the chair aside or sit down anywhere. Instead, he remained standing, holding his notebook and waiting for his moment to be in the meeting. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to everyone here. You've handled this stressful schedule commendably.
Bravo!
It's been excellent working with the wedding planning committee, such as yourselves. Baxter bowed his head politely. It was clear that he was trying to maintain the role of formality with his role as the wedding planner, but his honest tone gave him away. Baxter meant what he said from the heart. Before comments could be made, he changed gears and kept the part of his finger to his chin. My main concern At this point, as the partygoers enjoying themselves with the day off, although there are few remaining details we need to get out of the way before I leave. It's minor. The room buzzed with excitement. The fruits of your hard labor were almost ready to feast upon. The room buzzed with excitement. The fruits of your hard labor were almost ready to feast on. Randa reached across Terry on the couch and gave her brother a big high five.
So great.
Ah! I can't believe we made it in one piece.
Seriously?
You and me both. They both laughed heartedly, and she offered Scott a high five next. Terry, meanwhile, dropped his chin on Randa's spine with a quiet hum. She smelled in the sudden contact amidst Scott's hand. Scott immediately shifted from the high five to make sure Miranda wouldn't lose her balance. Baxter cleared his throat to regain the room's attention. His soft expression grew more focused.
Is that fine?
As I said before, we have a few remaining details to sort out. May I? Knock yourself out, but hurry before Randy knocks someone upside in the head. I'm fine, Jude. Thank you for being concerned. Yep. Randa resumed her seat perched on the arm of the couch, and Terry signaled to Baxter to start with a thumbs up. So we had quite a productive day, as you might have seen. Scott sat up straighter in his seat and nodded confidently. He can't hold his thought a second longer. We got the suits! They're super! Though, he was the man who assisted us at the store. It was a massive help, finding us options that would work splendidly off the rack. And Baxter showed us some snaps. He sheepishly rubbed the side of his neck and glanced to his husband-to-be. Jude playfully bumped his shoulder into Scott's side. Guess we're gonna have a slow down?
Exciting.
It'll be delightful. Oh, you know it. From there, the conversation kept rolling. You, Terry, and Miranda listened, while the couple confirmed the final touches of their wedding ceremony. And I have some additional news to share. It's an update to the whole room. Xavier sent me their progress on the cake. It's finished and will be delivered tomorrow as requested. Would any of you like to see the photos?
Yes.
Yes, please. Go. In a flash, Baxter had his phone out and tapped the screen. He flipped it and walked the picture around the room for his audience. The cake on display was 3 tiers, and the white frosting had rows of lines all textured all the way down. Pipe leaves and flowers were dotted about his accents. It was understated and stylish. It's so pretty. We'll actually have a cake that's well made for the reception. I seriously appreciate what they did for us. The Baxter did good. While the couple's words were complimentary, honest praise for an objectively nice cake, there was a problem. It was obvious the cake was the result of the former lack of energy. It was obvious the cake was the result of the former lack of synergy. The final result was finished and not ugly, and generic as Jude insisted upon. It could have been a random stock photo Baxter found online. God was amazed by the craftsmanship regardless, but seeing it for himself. Jude slouched lower into the couch. Though it tasted as nice as it looks, Xavier is gifted in the kitchen. Great! Some noticeable creases remained in Jude's brow, but he still managed to smile. Baxter nodded, and no one had anything else to add about the cake. The conversation pivoted away. Baxter ran through the ceremony procedure, piece by piece, and the intended times for every movement. Much of it was familiar information at this point. However, it was crucial to have it all straight.
Now
I have one last question for the couple. There's a tradition where the two being married choose not to see each other, or not to have any communication whatsoever before the ceremony.